For the past 25 years, I have been practicing both psychoanalysis and Zen Buddhism. At first as a patient in my own analysis when I was a beginning Zen student, and now as a psychoanalyst and Zen teacher myself. In the early days, it felt like I was conducting two separate practices in parallel, and I often wondered how they could or should relate to one another. As the years passed, however, they have increasingly converged, and I have begun to see both of them as structured disciplines of moment-to-moment awareness. Gradually, I evolved a common conceptual framework to describe the mechanism of character change within both. What I learned in analysis informed what I saw taking place in the Zendo. Just as the changes I saw happen in myself and others through Zen practice made me rethink some of my basic ideas about what brings about therapeutic change. The convergence of these seemingly very different practices in my own life reflects, I believe, an evolution in how our society views meditation. Practices that were once seen as purely religious or spiritual have taken on a quasi-therapeutic aspect in the public eye and attract people for the same reasons they might consider entering psychoanalytic therapy. As economic forces push psychotherapy more and more toward a medical model, and as managed care mandates specific diagnoses, symptom-focused treatment plans, and psychopharmacological solutions, spiritual practices of all kinds now address issues of identity, quality of life, well-being, and the role of values in contemporary life, questions that people once entered psychoanalysis to address. More and more of my patients have had some interest in or experience of some form of spiritual practice, whether yoga, meditation, martial arts, or some New Age hybrid. The same holds true for many of my professional colleagues, many of whom currently augment whatever they originally sought and learned through psychoanalytic therapy with a personal spiritual practice of some sort, one that they may only vaguely know how to relate to what goes on in the therapy they practice with their patients. Likewise, many of my Zen students have been in some form of therapy. But while more and more individuals seek to combine a variety of practices within their own lives, they often feel a certain unease about how these different practices relate to each other conceptually. Is meditation merely an escape from psychological problems? Does a psychological approach to meditation reduce spirituality to self-help? Might it not be best to keep the practices separate, let each work in its own sphere, and not worry too much about what the methods and results of one imply for the other? Although the approach I describe in this book may resonate with many varieties of psychotherapy, there is something distinctly psychoanalytic about my way of looking at things. What makes a therapy specifically psychoanalytic? Whenever someone asks me to explain what distinguishes psychotherapy from psychoanalysis, I like to reply, psychoanalysis doesn't help anybody. Though I admit that may sound a bit facetious, I think it does point to an important distinction within the so-called helping professions. By not helping, I'm referring to the fundamentally open-ended nature of psychoanalytic inquiry. Though patients obviously seek treatment because of problems they want solved, psychoanalysis is not a problem-solving technique. It does not aim at a particular goal or seek a particular outcome. Although quite dramatic personal transformation may be the byproduct of analysis, the analysis itself does not aim at any defined set of goals, or even necessarily symptom relief. The fundamental maxim that drives psychoanalytic practice is the same one that motivated Socrates and the early Greek philosophers: know thyself.